Do you remember what I called it?
What?
I need a girl. Is it?
How to pursue a girl?
No,
Or
I said. I thought I said I need a girl. Is that what it?
what you
The
titled
topic.
it?
The topic. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right. It's all good. I'll put I need a girl back in. I'm part two. Like y'all. Oh, look. No. Yes, that's what I said. I need a girl. That's what it is.
Right.
Run it?
Everybody's mic on.
Yeah. Orange.
Yo.
Boys say orange. We good.
All right. All right. AMP family, welcome back to the Amped Up Squad podcast. You know, this is the most lit podcast on the airways. What?
Most amped up.
Oh,
podcast.
most amped up podcast on the airways. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody's doing wonderful. We are in for I Need a Girl Part 2. Look, the conversation got so good, so hyped that we had to come back. We had to do a second part, and we ran way over time last time, but we're going to keep it in, and we're going to keep trucking. So the conversation has been focused on, one, how to win the girl, right? And then how to keep the relationship going. There were some good questions that were thrown on the table. So if you haven't already, make sure you go check out part 1 before you continue listening on to this one. But without further ado, we got King Johnny V in here. We got LaMorning and Eric. And, of course, I'm that guy, Amped. We are here to have a good time. You know, I feel like we're missing somebody. Legend's still not here yet?
Man.
The boy never on time.
I don't know how many episodes is this that Legend has disappeared. You would think he had like 10,000 jobs. Like,
That boy be working.
yeah. Well,
I guess he don't got time for us no more.
See, we might have to kick him out if he don't show up. Like, be completely honest.
If you want to be on a podcast, fill out the applications of.
It'll be down in the description below, right? All right. So go ahead, King Johnny V. What was the question that you left us with?
Question was for you two.
Okay.
Because we ain't in a relationship, but y'all have been in a relationship probably longer than most people, and keeping it alive and all that stuff. And everyone has pet peeves, and some people have strong pet peeves more than others. Some have weaker pet peeves, but both of you had pet peeves going into the relationship, and both of you learned something about your significant other. So had that significant other done any pet peeves that you had going into the relationship, and how has that pet peeve broken you? Has it made you angry, or do you not care about it anymore?
You go first.
I think one of the biggest pet peeves I had is I don't like germs. I don't share stuff with people. I don't share drinks. I don't share food.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me. And my family will tell you that I don't ever share with them. My mom, she'll pass a drink around. Somebody take a sip of the drink. I don't want the drink. Or like my brother, he asked me for some of my Gatorade. Here, just have it. I'm not letting you take a sip of this and then drinking it myself. And then I guess when I got with my girlfriend, it's not just something I thought about. I don't know, like we go to Chipotle and we'll share a bowl.
Okay.
That's not something I would do before, but I don't remember like consciously in my mind be like, okay, I'm scared to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. It's kind of just like
It just happened.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing. I mean, even now I still don't share with anybody, but I can with her. Like I can share a drink with her, but I'm not gonna share with even my family. I don't know why.
Interesting. And so there was never like a switch on that. Like, oh, wait, when did we start sharing stuff? No,
I don't remember at all.
Y'all never talked about it, or
No.
That-
I remember, like, it wasn't a big deal to me. It's not something I pay attention to. I started paying attention to it when we went out with my family, and I took a spoon of my girlfriend's ice cream, and my mom goes like, "What?" I'm just surprised that he did that. He's never done that before. I was like, "Oh, I guess I don't share with nobody."
Gotcha. Okay, so it wasn't until somebody else brought it to your attention.
Yeah.
I got you. That's the thing. So for me, I am very territorial when it comes to my food. I am one that I believe in getting what I want. That's just how I've always been. Mm-hmm. So when I order something at a restaurant, I say, nope, I want this, this, and this, and I need you to make this modification.
You're right.
If they can't, then I don't want that. Like, sorry, this is probably not the restaurant I need to be at. And so when it came to my wife, her family, one of her family things was they would share, plates. Oh, you got something different. You got something different. You got something different. No. And then they would, they would share, and I'm like, oh. And then everybody had a drink. Or for me, that's how I was used to. Everybody in the family had a drink. We went to a restaurant, right? Hey,
we gonna be fighting.
Basically, you get your drink with your food, and you drink it as much as you want. I get my drink and so forth. But then it came down to, oh no, wait, why do I have water and you have a drink and we both drinking the same drink? Or why is it that I got an Arnold Palmer and you're like, oh, make sure you get a tea on the next round? What? wait. When did our drink become my drink become our drink?
Right.
But it was one of those things that even with my food, me knowing that no, I got it a certain way. This is what I'm going to eat. I'm gonna enjoy mine, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And I found myself sharing one. And, like, sharing across the table, like, oh, I would never be that guy that, oh, here, try this pasta. Oh, it's bomb. Here, try this. Mm-hmm. Now I'm like, by default, oh, you want to try this? Oh, no, I'm good. You can have that. Like, what? Like, you're turning me down when I'm offering food, and that wasn't me. Like, no. I ordered this because I knew I was going to eat it, and that's what it was. And so that was kind of one of the – it was a pet peeve on one hand because I like what I like. Right? But she kind of kicked it out the window with, hey, what about this? Can we try this? Like, does this work? And, of course, me, like, okay, whatever. And, one, it saves money because who wants to pay $4 for a drink? Mm-hmm. And you might get one or two.
That's the only one.
Right. And so there have been times where that has kind of bitten me, if you will. But it's not that serious, right? And then I'm trying to think. There was another one, but I'm gonna have to come back to it when I remember it.
Okay. Now, is that something that you only do with her, or is that something you naturally do like with your family and stuff like that?
So I only do it with my immediate family.
Okay. So
myself, my wife, and my kids, but my kids is one of those defaults. My youngest,
they be gone.
She steals my food. Like, so it's not even a, oh, hey, daddy offered it to you. It's you saw the hand and it's like case in point, I had some broccoli and cheddar soup that I thought I was gonna just enjoy and tear it up from Panera Bread. Tell me why I come back to the soup and half the soup gone and the little one looking like more soup. Like,
oh no.
What? So, case in point, I had my sandwich and my soup. That was for me. It didn't all become mine.
Rip to the soup.
Yeah, basically. But that's just how relationships go. Relationships require you to somewhat think outside of the box and kind of those things that weren't really that serious, right? At one point, they may have been really hardcore serious to you, and they aren't as serious, right? Mm-hmm. When you know it's somebody that you really care about, you don't even think about it. Like you didn't even notice. Oh, what? Mom and dad had to bring it up like, oh, for real? I didn't even realize I was doing it because you don't think about it with them.
And I think pet peeves are they're in the same boat as a deal breaker, but they're a little bit different. Because pet peeves are something that, like you didn't even notice about it, and she kind of broke it down. But a deal breaker, no. Like, I ain't doing this. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't being with nobody unless you kind of compromise to that. But with a pet peeve, it can be broken down. So it's kind of interesting to see how he didn't even notice it, and his mom kind of brought it to him, and then he started, picking up on it. But she kind of initiated it, and she kept going, and now you do it with your family. But he doesn't do it.
Oh yeah, no, it's very different. Like in the sense of when you're close to somebody, you don't really like when you're that close to somebody in a relationship, you don't think about some things that may have bothered you with other people,
Mm-hmm.
They aren't quick to bother you so much. Like, I am one. I love cartoons. I'm not huge on watching lots of drama shows and things like that, but I find myself every now and again watching drama-oriented shows. Not because I like them. I care less. Give me a cartoon. I'll sit there and be enthralled in the cartoon like, y'all go do whatever y'all need to. But it's just one of those things. I don't see it as a at one point, I just wouldn't watch anything drama. If it was dramatic, it may be comedy. No, okay, I might take it. But if it's straight drama, nah, I'm good. Take it away, like all those cop shows. No, I don't care. I care less. My wife loves cop shows. And so I found myself watching all these different cop shows, and I'm like, I don't even like these. Okay, all right, whatever. Such is life, right? But you learn how to compromise without it having to be spoken to as well.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think I forgot my question. Oh, yeah, I remember. Milestones. Like, do you guys look for milestones in your relationship? Like, to go through the relationship? So, like, you start off dating, and now you guys, you're affectionate. You give her a hug, you give her a kiss. Okay, now you're, I don't know, you guys go out on dates. You guys, you don't get, like, when you wake up in the morning, she don't put a whole fake up or whole face of makeup, and you don't put all these fancy clothes and put on like cologne and all that. Like, is there milestones that you guys work through in the relationship before you get to marriage to know that it's progressing?
Oh, got you. That's a good question. I am one, and for I guess most of my relationships that I've had, the progression was different for each of them, right? And taking notice of certain milestones. Some milestones happen quicker in certain areas in certain parts of my life than they did in others. And so knowing that this was kind of my wife, right? This was the one I was going to marry. Our relationship progressed to the point where it was like we would see each other every day. We were, go to work, home, church, all the time. But the progression changed to when she said that we were dating, right? I thought in my mind, oh, yeah, I took you out a couple times, yeah. And here's when I said we started dating. When you talk to her about her timeline started, so it's different. And you're like, oh, well, I didn't realize our timelines were that different.
Right.
But it's also, we each set our milestones differently. But one of the big milestones of how I knew that I was going to marry her was she went to a trip in Europe. She went to Europe for 2 weeks, roughly 2 weeks, for school.
Supposed to go a long time.
Yeah. She was gone for a little while. And she went and we talked almost every other day. The time difference, of course. But she came home and she didn't realize that I was going to be at her house. First time, I just wanted to say, hey, glad you made it back. Heard that they were in there. I was sitting on the sofa. I got up just to say, hey, surprise. Showed up, just wanted to make sure everything was good. When I tell you this woman ran from the front of her house and like full on leaped into my arms like she hadn't seen me in ages. Like it was like, okay, yep, this is the one I'm gonna marry, right? And so that was kind of like that milestone of, okay, how do I get to that marriage next, right? But it is all different. You see the different points of importance with each other, and you figure out the milestones that are most important to you, and vice versa. Yeah.
I think we got a visitor outside.
We got a visitor.
I'll be right back.
Oh,
I can answer while I'm
okay, yeah. A visitor. I really wonder who this could be.
I know it's not no mail time, but like
mail time.
Yeah.
I like mail. Anybody got mail for us? Like what?
let me check my shipping. Hold on.
No. Oh man, so this is definitely one of those conversations that is requiring us to do.
I heard a lot.
Whoa! Legend has entered the building.
You can definitely notice he in the building.
What's going on, Legend Pop Rocks? How you doing, man?
I made it.
Finally, Legend has arrived. Oh man, good to see you, man. How you doing?
See y'all. I'm tired. Work.
Oh man. So we are in here talking about relationships, how to catch the girl, one, and we're in part 2 of it. Man.
And I was gonna answer Eric's question, because you were talking about the milestone that you kind of noticed. For me, I look at those milestones as growth. When we first argue or have a big disagreement, I don't look to fight. So don't say, "Oh, he's just looking to start a fracas or whatever." I look to see what we do after. Like if we have a soft kind of, "Hey, this is okay, and I think this is a good movement going forward," because you can tell whenever you argue or you fight with someone, you're just like, "Nah, I ain't feeling this." I'm like, "Nah, we getting cut." But after you're in a relationship that you feel like it's going to go some distance, you kind of feel like, "Hey, I feel kind of good. Like I don't feel like I want to strangle this person or I feel good." So I think that milestone right there is kind of for me, okay, like she might be the one. Because having that first kind of moment where you go on a date and you're touchy and you're feeling and you're holding hands, that's nice, but I kind of want to see that that adversity. What do we do when we're going through tough times? Because I want to know you're going to be here if if it hits the fan.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that could be important, especially knowing that somebody is going to stick with you. Now, is it so? Let me ask you this then, as a kind of a follow up. Is it that first fight that you're like, oh, that first big argument? I'm looking for you to either show up or get out, like, or is it that we've had a few at this point? We've had a few disagreements, right? And this is kind of okay. We've had a few of these. What are you doing now? Like,
it depends on both of us and the type of disagreement, because like you said, not everyone agrees on everything. But if the disagreement is on something that is going to affect us in the future, like if we were going to have kids or not, and you say no, and I say, well, I think we should have kids, and we list everything out back and forth, and it kind of escalates and escalates and escalates, and then afterwards we're just sitting like, what are we doing? Like, this is something that I would want to spend with you, so we can kind of compromise on something like that. I think it depends on both of us, because if I'm an introvert, well, which I am, and you're an extrovert, coming back together is going to be totally different. I don't want you to be rah, 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 rah. Like, give me some time, a little bit, let me process it and figure out what is going to happen next. I think for that is the whole dynamic for me personally with that question.
What about you, Jason?
Well, back to the pet peeves. I'm not much into, like, I need communication. Like, one girl I was with from Thailand, she initiated.
Oh.
Okay. Yo,
Okay.
that threw me off.
She initiated, like, she asked me out.
Okay.
I was like, oh, whatever, sure. And
Whatever.
and we went out once or twice, and then she was like, she's gonna go back to her country for like 2 weeks and visit her family, and then she came back and then didn't message me, didn't contact me for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, bye. And she showed up like a week later and said, hi, how are you? I was like, good. What are you doing here? Why you at my job?
Wow. Okay. Communication. That's crazy.
It's all about that effort and being adamant.
So, what would you say, Legend? Since you have graced us with your presence,
Finally.
Quite on set.
what would you say are your deal breakers in a relationship? Like reasons where we stop this relationship right where it is and we gone. Like that's it.
I mean, I'm going to go with communication. That's one thing right there. There's been times it's like, yo, we should talk about this. And then there's like, nah, I don't think we should. I'm like, this is like life-changing. This is a big deal. So if you don't want to talk about it, let's say 4 months down the road when we're, I guess, more serious, you don't want to talk about that again. It's just gonna go in circles. Like this is at this point we're just hanging out together. We're not pushing a date because we're not trying to further anything. So I mean, if you can't communicate, there's no point.
Gotcha.
Really, so
Okay. Communication is a huge one. Yeah. Any like pet peeves that you would say of yours that hey, this might be something that if the person in the relationship that I'm in is on this pet peeve, we might have an issue.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I wanted to say there's a lot, but because someone in this group told me, it's like, yo, you can't just cut people off from the first thing they do. And I was like, yo, watch me.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Oh
I
man.
mean, there's little stuff that annoy me that really shouldn't, but it still does. So, I mean, it's just, if it depends. I really got to be like feeling it to not let it bug me.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I say something about it, and if it's not something that you have to change, I don't want no one to change for me. But if it's something small we can discuss, and you don't want to discuss it, it's like, all right, y'all. I mean, deuces.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, no, you're really big on communication. No, that makes sense. Everybody needs to communicate.
Been in the military. That's all I want, yo. Organization, communication.
Mm-hmm.
Like all you gotta do is tell me what's going on, yo. I don't need no. Yo, just follow with the flow. I was like, nah, bro. Just tell me what we're doing next, so I can be aware. I don't like surprises.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh man. So all right. What is then? You're in a relationship. You've been in this relationship. How do you know that the relationship is no good for you anymore?
Once you separate love and lust, like after you've seen the person so much, and then you're like, I really like them. They're pretty, all that, blah blah. That's lust basically. And then love comes in. It's like when you think about them, not seeing them, you're still thinking about them, anything like that. And maybe say 3 months down the road, 4 months, 5 months, and you're still feeling them, thinking they're as a person, that would be love. But like when they're gone and you're not really thinking about them, that's sounds like lust because you're not really loving them. Like you just want to see them and like admire their like features. I want to say.
Okay. Huh, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I gotta see. I'm like, yo, if I see you and I'm like head over heels, yeah, you're pretty, but I want to be attracted to your face and your mind. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's not a weird thing to say.
No, it's not a weird thing to say. No, not at all.
Yeah, because there's a song by J. Cole that is called "Love Yours," and in the song he talks about, there's always a life better than yours. There's always, a woman that's probably going to be better looking and all that stuff. But you don't know what's for you until you love yours. If you have a woman, you have a job and all that. If you love it, you'll love it. You'll stick with it. You're not gonna think about, that money that you could be getting or the person that you want to be with. Like the Kim Kardashians, or you have this, small town girl, don't nobody know about. But if you're, thinking about, oh man, I wish I could be with, this other person. It's time to, think about, what you're doing in that relationship that you're in. Because if you don't really, love yours, then it's time to go. And I think that's what people kind of need to think about in the relationships that they're in now or in the future. You love yours. Stop thinking about other things and focus on what's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, like I told y'all, I've only dated 2 people. That means I've only broken up with one person. Like, so I've got a lot of data under this experiment. But I think that the point where I realized that we shouldn't continue, I had moved away. Not moved away. I had changed churches, basically. So my girlfriend was at a different church. I was at this church. And I'm really into being able to see somebody often, like in my normal life.
Mm-hmm.
So we had church 3 times a week. 3 times a week. So I'd always see them at church, and then we can hang out on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I really enjoy. So when I had moved away, the relationship just
Change.
it changed real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I could only see you on the weekends, maybe 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
when I had realized that I wasn't as interested in the relationship, I realized that it wasn't love. I was with the person just 'cause I like being around them.
Gotcha.
I like hanging out with them. They made me laugh, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we would be better suited if we were friends, not necessarily dating.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that was one thing that I realized, and it made me, okay, yeah, maybe we need to separate.
That's
Mhm.
interesting.
What about you, Jay? Son?
I don't got nothing.
Nothing. So one of the things that I have learned over my vast amount of relationships.
I mean, you the oldest.
This is true. This is true. When one, you know that there's a difference between lust and love, right? There's a huge difference there, and sometimes we can get so stuck on what they bring into the table versus what you bring into the table, that it can cloud our better judgment, and you can sometimes love somebody so much, like invest so much time in them, that it becomes toxic, right? That they do wrong in front of you, or you're doing wrong in front of them, and y'all still coming back together every single time. And it's like, well, wait, are we doing this because
We just like the company.
we like the company, we feel obligated to be with this person, we made some poor decisions together, right? And so now we're always back together, right? We always find ourselves back together, and it's just like there are a lot of situations where, you know, people cheat. There are a lot of situations where people are, you know, just not with that right person, and they've spent that time, they've invested that time,
Right.
and I think that's one of the big things. Like, people don't want to feel like they wasted time.
Right.
Like,
Or they
time
have
is so
children
short.
together.
Right,
100% agree.
right.
Time is a valuable thing. I hate my time being wasted.
Hmm. And so when it comes to a relationship, like, you don't want to feel like, well, I've invested 4+ years in this person, and now they're gonna go and do something else. What? No, we've invested this time, because when you invest time, you also invest in money. You also invest in time with other people.
Emotional support.
Right, your emotional support, all of that stuff. You've invested into this person, and so when that's like, what did we just do 4 years for? Like, if I feel like I've wasted my time, but then at the same time, you may feel like you've wasted time, but you so caught up on that person that, man, I'm always thinking about them. Like, and it becomes that toxic, right? You've become so dependent on that relationship, and so you just kind of fall apart.
Right.
When it's done. And that happens both ways, right? We try to cover it up and get busy with other things, and we get outside and go. In some people's cases, they drink their sorrows away. You know, they try to medicate and all these other things, and we hold it up and we go and get busy with work and things like that.
You can't fault everybody because we're only human, but sometimes a lot of people underestimate, or they just forget how much time and effort and energy that you have to put in a relationship to work. Sometimes people just, oh yeah, we're dating now. Okay, well, what you gonna do in that relationship? You gotta make sure if you're with someone for 5, 10, 15 years, there should be some evidence that y'all are together. Like, I should be able to know not to hit on this person, just not to say like someone's just gonna hit on you. But if I see you at a restaurant and I see someone just sitting alone, I should notice, okay, either you got a ring, or when I talk to you and I try to flirt with you, you should say, oh, my boyfriend, or I should say something that, hey, I'm
off limits.
I'm off limits. Like, there should be something.
Right. No, I hear you.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like when some guys approach you, some girls automatically know the intention. Even if they beat around the bush a little bit, most of the time you know their intentions. So, I mean, giving them that early shutdown, not wasting them anything like that, not wasting your time, I feel like it's real important. That's another communication thing. Like, if I'm like, hey, let's go here, just me and you, and you're like, okay, and then, oh, we're only friends, you know that, right? I'm like, yo,
It's them games.
what?
Gotcha.
Games. Yeah, picked you up and opened the door for you. It's clear that I wasn't trying to be friends, but all right,
Right.
I'm cool with that. That's
Gotcha. Yeah, and that can be the challenge, right? Being the hunter versus the hunted. Like the hunter doesn't always have the cards in his favor, right? You don't know what she's holding, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things. But relationships, like you all said, take time, and getting to that point of relationship, being upfront can be the biggest difference. It can make the biggest difference. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to tell you all that are out listening to be upfront. Know yourself, one. Don't go looking for a relationship and you don't know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, you don't love yourself, it's going to be hard for you to be in a relationship and love and understand somebody else.
And don't be afraid to speak up.
Don't be afraid to speak up. Make sure that your voice is heard. Make sure that you know what you're looking for. Right. Know what your expectations are, and be realistic with them. What about y'all? Any final thoughts that y'all want to share with?
Say, make a plan. Know what you're looking for in a relationship, or else you're just going to be like lost in it, I guess. If you don't have milestones or goals that you want to reach in a relationship, I feel like you can easily get lost, and then you're stuck in it. You're in there for years. You wasted all this money. Now you're looking back. Well, I wasted time. Or why are we even together?
Exactly.
You could have found that out if you had like steps that you wanted to reach beforehand.
And one big thing I've learned is, don't settle. I mean, I know that may sound harsh, but don't settle. Because when you settle, you're going to look back and be like, yo, I could have had that if I would have put in a slight bit of more hard work. I could have had that what I wanted. Now I'm stuck with this. And you're going to realize it. If you don't realize it soon, you're going to realize it later. And it may be too late. And you're just going to regret it. And once you start regretting it and thinking to yourself, it's all downhill from there.
Be yourself and focus on yourself. When you get into a relationship, that way it can show forth that you're genuine. You have things in order, like you said, organization and communication. If you focus on yourself, you work on yourself, it's just gonna fall in line.
What about you, Jason? What you got?
I agree with everything.
You agree? All right, family. Look, man. I hope you all enjoyed our little conversation on relationships, how to get the girl, and how to keep the relationship going. I know we could probably do a number of smaller caveats within this one topic because there's just so much to talk about. But we hope that you all enjoyed yourselves on the Amped Up Squad podcast. Make sure that you tune in every Wednesday. We are going to be here rocking it, spending time together out here. And hopefully you all get some laughs out of this. Hopefully you take something with you. And you're encouraged to keep on living, keep on having a good time. Check us out on YouTube. This episode will be posted to YouTube this coming Friday. So whenever you see it or hear it, you'll be able to see it that Friday after that. Outside of that, I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. Don't forget to subscribe so you know every time we post a new episode up to the podcast.
And share
it. And share it. Oh, yeah. Share it. Share it. Like it. Do whatever you can to pump it up and get amped up all day. And remember, always stay amped up. We'll catch y'all next time.
Out.